Hello, everybody. How's it going? It's your friendly neighborhood Bible thumper, Nick. Um, Today, I just thought I'd make a video. I hadn't made a video in a long time. I think since February of 2022. It is October of 2022. So apologies for that. But today I want to make a video just kind of talking about what I've been up to and kind of just some reflections of my walk so far. As you can tell from the title of the video, is titled 3 Years Deep, My Bondage and My Freedom. And just lately I've been really reflecting on how I even came about Christianity, how I even started reading the Bible, how essentially I got to where I am today, not by my own strength, of course. So I just like to share that with you guys, and you know, not that I think you care very deeply. You might, but I don't know. Maybe this is more for me, which is okay too. So I pray that you guys are blessed, though. So like I said, I just wanted to make a video, share how I've been doing, what I've been up to. And so I just want to take it back a few years, though. So like I said, title of the video, 3 Years Deep. So I'll take you back to 3 years ago, a little over 3 years ago. And where I was as a person was very disgusting. I was a very selfish boy, and I, had a real problem with drug addiction, with other addictions such as pornography, and just everything that comes with what I would call a secular lifestyle. Whereas, I'm sure if you're around my age, you grew up with a lot of, a lot of what I would call bad influences. Things like the music that often talks and idolizes sex, drugs, money, power, and things of that nature that are very vain. But as a young man or young woman, those things can seem very attractive because that's, of course, what the world is pushing. So, of course, I fell into those addictions, those habits, those things. I was I would say, a terrible person. There's some self-reflecting, especially with my girlfriend at the time. We would get, I would always break trust with her. I'd tell her, hey, I'm going to quit these drugs. I'm not on these drugs or whatever. And then turn around and she'd find my stash or my pipe or whatever it may be. And so I was constantly breaking trust between my girlfriend and my parents and things like that. And, this is just a miserable lifestyle. I was severely addicted to these drugs, and it ruined my life day and night like clockwork. And I was a slave to this. I was in bondage, and I couldn't escape. I wanted to stop. I wanted to stop doing this and, constantly consuming this substance and, like it was food. I lost a lot of weight and, had very bad thoughts, and things just really spiraled downhill. On top of that, my girlfriend, she moved out, and she was pregnant at the time. So here I am. How old was I? 20 years old, with a child on the way, severely addicted to drugs and substance, and with no way out. And it eventually escalated to a point where it got to harder drugs, psychedelic drugs, things of that nature. A little bit, it got involved in New Age, a little bit, not too deep. And while I was on my own tirade of living the lifestyle I thought I wanted, where I didn't have nobody to tell me what I couldn't do, I would do whatever I want, whenever I wanted. And I thought that was freedom. I thought that was what life was about. As a young man, that's what I thought it was all about. Doing what you want, manipulating women, it's just what it's all about, right? Because that's what the world teaches us. And that was a miserable lifestyle. That was very miserable. And I was smiling because I just sit back and reflect on how silly and how foolish that was. But I was tired. I was tired of being in bondage to the substance. And, I'd always say I'd quit, and I hear people around me say, yeah, I need to quit. I need a tolerance break or this or that, or, things drug addicts say. But speaking as a drug addict, former drug addict, I just need a way out. And eventually one night, through some very strange circumstances, very strange, and I won't get into too much detail on that right here. If you want, I will leave a link to the full in-depth testimony and journey of how I, stumbled upon God and this and that. This is kind of the condensed microwave version. So during this event in August of 2019, which would be 3 years ago, I was doing something I should not have been doing. That was very satanic, very demonic, very spiritual. And while I was in the middle of doing this thing, I hear a voice tell me, not audible, like you and I speaking, or like me speaking through your speakers on your phone or on your computer or whatever, but I heard a voice say, Nick, you can continue what you're doing, and you can destroy your life and your families, speaking about my son and my ex-girlfriend at the time, or you can follow me. And that was it. It said, this entity said, you can come look for me. You can follow me, or you can do what you're doing and be destroyed. And sure enough, check out the full video, because I'm not doing it justice here, but this was the voice of God speaking to me, telling me in my sin that I can continue what I'm doing, and my son can grow up in a split home. I can, who knows, probably have babies with 3-4 different women, however that may be. And if that's your situation, I'm not judging or anything, but it's obviously not ideal, right? That's not ideal. Or, in jail, wherever. Or he said, you can come look for me. As simple as that. As simple as that. You can come look for me. And so I took God up on his offer. I said, okay, I'll come look for you. Now, all the things didn't stop right away. I continued to smoke. I continued to do, the habits that I was in. And, just slowly, though, as I started to look for God, I started to look for him. And as I looked for him more and more, I heard his voice more clear and clearer and clearer. And, eventually through studying the Bible and, praying and just being really sincere and dedicated and persistent on knowing this God. Jesus says in the Bible, he tells us that ask and it shall be answered. Seek and you shall find. Knock and it will be open. And I can't tell you, my friends, how true that is. That if you want to know God, and if you want to have a relationship with him, all you gotta do is ask. All you gotta do is seek. All you gotta do is keep knocking. And God will reveal himself to you in the most craziest ways that you can't even imagine. And so God called me. And I think this shows a lot about God too, because that I just, looking back, and even then, what a God, that he's so compassionate, he's so loving and caring, that while I'm doing all these horrible, wicked things that are detrimental to my well-being and to the well-being of others, that he is calling me, he is wooing me, he is telling me, I love you, come to me, come to me, come to me. Instead of saying, you're disgusting, as I am. Instead of saying, I reject you. Instead of saying, you can't come. He invites us. He invited me. And he said, let's reason, Nick. What do you want to know? What do you want to know? What do you want me to teach you? Come and learn of me. And so as I studied more and more, I grew closer and closer to the Lord and got to know him more. And he is a very personal God. And slowly, but surely, Old habits started to fade away. Things that I used to partake of were not the same. I would get on these drugs and then I would be super paranoid. I would, essentially what you're doing when you're on drugs is opening yourself to a spiritual realm that we don't really know much about as finite human beings. Nonetheless, it's not good. So please don't be doing drugs. But I was starting to see this, that as I'm doing these drugs and stuff, that it was affecting me, and it was scary. And so eventually I stopped, by God's grace and his power, stopped these drugs. And the next step was, Lord, I want to follow you. I want to know you, because I see that you are real, that Jesus Christ was real, and that Jesus Christ really did raise from the dead. And that if he was real and he really did raise from the dead, and he promised that he's going to come back, then he's going to be good on that promise. And he wants me and you to be ready for that when he does come in the clouds soon, my friends. And anyways, I said, Lord, I got to fix this with my ex-girlfriend. I'm about to have a kid in like 4 or 5 months. What am I going to do, And there was a scripture in Matthew chapter 7, I believe, where Jesus says, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and its righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. So I took God at his word. I said, Lord, you told me I'm going to seek, that I'm going to find. If you tell me that if I prioritize you and prioritize our relationship together, Lord, that you're going to take care of the rest, that I don't need to worry about what's going to happen with the baby and the girlfriend, and you're going to take care of it. And sure enough, as time went on, he took care of it. In January of 2020, my firstborn son, Ignatius, was born. And, what a joyous day that was, and what a joy he still is. He's going to turn 3 here soon, which is crazy. And just him as a learning experience too. Him being a teaching tool of God to show me God's love for you and I. How we don't do anything, but he loves us. Ignatius doesn't scratch my back or mow my lawn or take out the trash. He's kind of selfish, like all toddlers and babies are, and like we all are. But I still love him unconditionally, and I care for him, and I want the best for him. And it's the same with God. And just as I continue to grow, I just see the goodness of God over and over again, and how much he is there for us, and he cares for us, and he wants us to know him. God fixed that relationship with my girlfriend, then ex-girlfriend, then girlfriend, and then fiance, to now my wife. And he healed that, and I can't tell you how grateful I am for that, and the blessing that it is. I'm losing my track here. Sorry, I just wrote a little outline so I didn't lose my track. But so that was all 3 years ago, and over time, of course, there's things I still need to work on to this day, but slowly, God says, Nick, work on that, please. I don't like that thing that you do. I don't like your foul mouth, how you drop the F-bomb sometimes, and, it's not very edifying to yourself or to those who hear you. And so I'll work on that, other things like food and whatnot. Continue to work on and strive. It's always a progression, and we're always looking to be complete in Christ. And it's not in our own strength. I couldn't do all those things in my own strength to get off those things that were destroying my life and holding me in bondage. But God made a way. God made it happen. And just how God has just worked in my life elsewhere too, with the people I've come across, ran into, and the blessing they've been to me, just out of the craziest thing. One of my best friends I met because he was talking about crazy new age stuff on the internet, and I could relate, and I reached out to him, and he became a Christian, and it, he still is, and we're still really close. And he tells me when I'm being a doofus, and I tell him when he's being a doofus, and just things like that. And other people that God has put in my life to help grow me and refine me, and just kind of as I grow as a Christian, the title of this is 3 years deep, and it really should be 3 years shallow, because this is just the beginning, you know. This is so, I am still in the infancy of my Christian walk, and what it means to be a Christian, what it means to be a follower of Christ, and what it means to be a husband and a father. And, you know, as we walk with Christ, as we learn of him, as we're sincere about it, as we spend time with him daily, we start to see our deficiencies more and more, and start to see his beauty more and more. And he lets us cash in on that. He says, you know, I want to change you. I want to help you. I want you to be like me. And now, as a Christian, when trials come, it's a little different. So a little bit, I don't know, I don't want to blame this on this, but, you know, in February of 2022, when I stopped making my videos for a little bit, my grandma, who I loved so dearly, you know, was diagnosed with cancer, like, very quickly. And it was, you know, she's got a short amount of time to live, and it ended up being, you know, a little over 2 weeks. But just seeing God's goodness in that, and in death, that's crazy, you know, like in the most despairing and desperate and dire of situations, to see God's goodness and to see him still working in the lives of those who are dying and those around the one who is departing, and just, you know, being able to say, Lord, I know it's gonna be okay because I trust you. And what kind of, nowhere else on this earth are you gonna find such assurance and such surety. Nowhere. And, you know, just going through that situation, it kind of threw me off a little, my schedule more so. And, you know, I've been kind of dealing with that because my grandma and I were very close friends. And, you know, the Lord allowed me to have a very special time with her before she passed, and to be there when she did finally die. You know, so I praise God for that. And then even, you know, 2 months ago, my second son was born, little Irenaeus. And, you know, it's just such a blessing. And I just, you know, kind of to wind down a little bit here, man, if the boy I was 3 years ago had 2 sons, Lord have mercy, that would not be good, you know. And I'm learning, you know, like, especially for those of us who are parents, that these little ones, our daughters and our sons, are our responsibilities. It's up to us to point them in the right direction. We're the shapers and molders of these children, of the future, of our children, right? You know, if you want your, you know, and this is kind of the nature versus nurture thing, and I'm not a scientist, but I speculate that, I got a bug on my phone, hold up. I speculate that what you put into your kids is, you know, this is a rough estimate, is like 70% of what they will be. And of course, we all have free will and decisions, but, you know, if you want your kid to like trains, you know, you can do that. You just put trains in front of them. They gravitate toward things. If you want them to like rap music and to bop their heads, and, you know, you're, you know, I'm not being mean here, but like, if you want your young ladies to dress promiscuous, that's a parent's, that's the influence you have as a parent. So I just encourage you, parents, and I'm learning this too. I'm by no means perfect in my household. I'm still learning and growing, is to encourage your kids as young as they are, you know, 2 months old, 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old, 10 years old, 15 years old. Pour into them and invest in them. And, you know, they are the greatest asset and blessing you have. And you want them to be happy, healthy people, you know. Please pour into those kids. I don't know if I'm getting that across, but, and then still good morals and values in them. And, you know, truth be told, there is one place that is the moral standard, where we get moral standards from, and that is God. If, you know, we can't point anywhere else. It has to be a higher power where we get morality from. So please pour into your children, and please, just just work with those kids. And I need to too. I need to too. And, just kind of rambling now, but I just look back 3 years ago and see how much God has grown me, how much God has shaped me, and just how good he is. Now, the title of this, the subtitle of this video is My Bondage and My Freedom. If you are familiar with Frederick Douglass, he wrote a autobiography. The second part is called My Bondage and My Freedom. And Frederick Douglass was a slave in Maryland, and he escaped, and he became an abolitionist. And, we are all broken, messed up people. We have all hurt people. We have all been hurt. We have all do stupid things, and, it's that we don't even understand. But God loves us. God cares for us. He is so compassionate. He wants you to know him. I can't say enough good things about God. And just if you are lonely and depressed and you think you have no one, there's always Jesus. Jesus is always there for you. Jesus, and this is something I'm learning too in my walk, is how intimate Jesus wants to be with us. He wants to be intimate. And that's so deep. It's like a marriage, when you're with your spouse 40, 50 years, how intimate are you with that person? Hopefully you're very intimate. And Jesus wants to be more intimate than that with us. And, so please just take that time to call out on him. And life is tough. Life is tough, my friends. And it is tougher without Christ. So just please make that decision. Please think about it. Just think about it to just put your life and your worries and your cares into his hands, because he cares for you. He really cares for you. And if you don't believe me, go try it for yourself. How many of us nowadays will go to Taco Bell and never try an item on the menu, but they advertise it on TV and they're like, yo, I'm gonna go try that naked chicken chalupa and see how that tastes. Or, Starbucks, like, oh, I'm gonna go try that, mocha frappe something dumping. So why don't we just try to seek for God? If you haven't, just try and ask him to reveal himself to you. Ask him to show you who he is, and he will reveal himself to you. And I'm probably rambling on now, but I probably should wrap this up. So I just want to encourage you all to seek God while he may be found. And he's always near. He's never too far. You are not too wicked. I have done some horrible, disgusting things in my life. But God has forgiven me. He loves me. He cares for me. And he's growing me. And I'm hoping to come back in 5 years, if we're still here, and do the 8 years deep video and how much I've grown that since then. So that excites me, my friends. And if you ever need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. This is the thing I live for. This gets me so excited, is to see people choose Christ and to just want to learn and to not be complacent with their situation and to understand that they are messed up people. And we are all messed up people, my friends, but Jesus can put us together. Thank you, my brothers and sisters, and I just pray you all be blessed. Thank you.